The immortal John Hancock here, and I have some crazy news to talk about, and you may have already heard, but a lot of people wanted me to do a video about this. So here I am. For those that wanted me to do the video, here it is. And today, Atari announced that they have purchased the rights to over 200 titles and Intellivision trademarks. So essentially, Atari now owns Intellivision, which is crazy. Now, this is separate from Intellivision Amico. It's none of that. That's been, talked about from numerous people. So I'm not here to talk about any of that Intellivision Amico stuff. This is about Atari buying the rights to 200 titles. I have questions about that. I don't think any of the games are listed in Intellivision trademarks. And so that brings up some interesting things. So I am going to be expressing why this is a good thing, the many reasons why this is a good move, and just my thoughts about it. I don't have any inside details. This is just my thoughts. This is my personal opinions. This is not connected to Atari, but I have several friends that are Intellivision fans. I am part of the Intellivision community. I'm actually working on an Intellivision game. Block'em Sock'em is coming to Intellivision, and I'm working with several people in the classic Intellivision community to make that happen. And so there's going to be lots of opinions about this. And so you're going to have your opinions in the comments below. Let me know your opinions, and they may differ from mine, and that's okay. We can still be friends. So let's talk about the many reasons why this is a good thing. So first and foremost, these aren't in any particular order. Unreleased prototypes, okay? Intellivision had been sitting on several prototypes, Intellivision prototypes, as well as Atari 2600 ports of unreleased games. This gives the opportunity for Atari to offer these games. You know, they already have a platform where they're offering 2600 games. They are offering physical releases of 2600 games. So this is an opportunity where they can offer unreleased prototypes in both digital and potentially physical form. I would love for Atari to offer Intellivision games on physical form. You know, that would be great. I think there's a lot of Intellivision fans that would support that. They have to be done right, though. That has to be done right. That might be a separate conversation about quality issues that I know Atari's had, but I think people would get behind supporting Atari offering unreleased prototypes, things that have not been dumped to the public that Intellivision owns, and that is true. I'm super excited about that. The other big thing is I think there's a lot of people that are eyeing the Recharge series. Now, I've covered the Recharge series games on my channel. I did a ranking of all the Recharge games. I think it would be ecstatic for Atari to make a Recharge series for Intellivision games. You know, 200 games, 200 titles is a lot. Now, what they do with that, fingers are crossed, but that gives Atari many Recharge opportunities of solid titles. I think I would love to see the Recharge series applied to Intellivision games, and I want that to move forward. I think that is a huge opportunity, and I'm sure Atari is eyeing it. I don't know how much Atari paid for Intellivision. I'm curious about that. The other thing that I would love to see is a new Intellivision collection, and everybody's has, I think, some same ideas on this. When we go back here, let's go back here. All right, I have the Intellivision collection for PlayStation 2, signed by the Blue Sky Rangers, and it's even got Keith on there. Rest in peace. And anyways, Intellivision collection, and this was okay. There was some cool extras on it, but it could be so much better. And then, we had like the Flashback Classic collections of games, but let's be honest here, okay? Digital Eclipse has really raised the bar for what collections can be, okay? And so my idea would be like an Intellivision 50, something like this. Now, Digital Eclipse being connected to a collection of Intellivision games oh my goodness, would be amazing. And it would be more than just a collection of ROMs, because I think a lot of people would want the inside stories, the interviews, the history. There's a lot of people that don't know a lot about Intellivision. And, you know, for the subset of classic collectors that grew up with Intellivision, it's amazing. But Atari is a much bigger company. They always sold more, at least 2600 versus Intellivision. You know, this is the battle that's gone on for decades. But this is going to open it up to more mainstream audience. And I think a collection like the Atari 54 Intellivision would be fantastic. I think it would be amazing. I think it would go over well. But let's talk about the elephant in the room, okay? Potential new hardware. I think everybody would agree that they would want an Intellivision Plus, like the 2600 Plus. So here's the 2600 Plus. And, you know, it's about 80% the size of the original console release. How awesome would it be for Atari to do an Intellivision one? Oh my goodness. There's so many things. There's Intellivision hardware is aging. I'm lucky. I have a RGB modded and component modded Intellivision 2. I have original hardware, but how cool if they redid the original Intellivision with detachable controllers, made controller replacements, had like a built-in ECS module, as well as some televoice, all the bells and whistles, new hardware, affordable HDMI out, as well as the other things, listening to the Intellivision community to make that happen. Oh my goodness, it'd be so awesome. Because going back to what Atari purchased, they purchased Intellivision trademarks, which probably is trademarks on hardware, original hardware. And so how cool would that be to see that? I would love to see an Intellivision Plus. I think a lot of, and then Atari offering along with that, you know, Intellivision games. And I just think it's fantastic because I'm a fan of both. I'm not a fanboy of pitting one classic console with another. I had a good friend who helped me with this conversation, by the way. Thank you, John. And shout out to John, my good friend John. And I want to thank him because he grew up with Intellivision. He shared some of the classic games with me over time. And he really showed me the benefit of Intellivision. And he's some of these things that he's excited about as well. So other than the potential new hardware, how about homebrews and games to the Atari VCS? That's right. How awesome would be that? They already have a platform that's on the market. They could offer homebrews and aftermarket Intellivision games on the VCS. I would love to offer my aftermarket version of Intellivision Block'em Sock'em on the Atari VCS. It's completed. Just have to do a physical release. Plan on doing that at the next Portland Retro Gaming Expo. Fingers crossed. Brian's Man Cave is the programmer, as well as several from the Intellivision community help me with that. Look at all the other aftermarket games. Here's an interesting one. It's Robot Army. So this is just a what if. So this is not, this company's not working with, Atari about bringing their games to the VCS, but how cool would it be? Robot Army, which is kind of like a take on Berserk, a little bit more. Yeah. Infiltrator. Okay. Amazing game. I mean, these are just awesome aftermarket games. TNT Cowboy, Star Mercenary. I mean, these are just amazing homebrew games. Now, that's just a small sampling. They have no connection with Atari, but, that's a what if. But if Atari opens up, hey, we're going to offer Intellivision homebrew stuff or aftermarket stuff on the VCS, how rad would that be? Heck, I'd even take original Intellivision games in the right collection. Okay, that's one of the many things. Now, let's talk about the Atari 2600 Plus. Maybe it might be cheaper for Atari to offer an adapter to the 2600 Plus that would allow people to not only play Intellivision games, but to have a controller adapter where they could use their controller and play games with a separate controller. How rad would that be? That might be a lot cheaper to do than actual different hardware, and I think a lot of people would buy into that that are fans of the 2600 Plus. I do hope that they do expand the capabilities of the 2600 Plus because it has processing power powerful enough to offer classic games on other consoles. And with adapters, they might be able to do that. How awesome would that be? I'm super stoked about that. I could go on and on about that. All right. Aside from that, modern sequels to classic IP games. So Astro Smash, I think of, here's 3 right here. Thin Ice. Thin Ice was a classic Intellivision game. Thunder Castle. What about a sequel to Thunder Castle? Or Thin Ice? Or Hover Force. I'm a big fan of Hover Force. This is a cool game. A lot of people forgot about that game, but it's pretty fun. I'm a big fan of that. Well, what if Atari can then, now that they own the IP, rights to the titles, they can do sequels. And, these are the types of games I think that they have the capabilities of making sequels, and I think it would be fantastic. All right, finally, I have to say, the potential for Intellivision to be offered to a more mainstream audience is the number one reason why I think this is a good thing, because Intellivision, for whatever reason, just never seemed to sell as much as Atari. Atari was a bigger company. They sold more sales-wise. It was about, I don't know, I would say like easily, I think Intellivision original hardware was 3 million, might be more, might be less, but original Atari 2600 hardware was 30 million. So it was about, it was only about 10% of what Atari sold. So Atari purchasing Intellivision is the potential for Intellivision to be offered to a lot more people that may have not experienced it. So those are my reasons why this is a good thing. You're going to have your opinions and your reasons. Let me know below. And please just consider to be respectful to other people's opinions. I will listen to yours. And as long as we're respectful, we can have a conversation about it. I want to thank everybody for coming and viewing this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you see, consider hitting that like and subscribe button and clicking the bell as I'm uploading videos every week. You folks are wonderful and beautiful. This is Immortal John Hancock, and you take care.